I did it after 5.
Yeah, episode 5. We go to Caesars, Southern Indiana, with our buddy John from Dayton, and we play some 1-2 no limit with a 300 max buy-in. And yeah, let's go right now.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
Gotta stop for gas. $1.83 for gas. $1.83. Absolutely insane. Indiana price. What do you think of the view of the cornfields, John? The cornfields. Pretty sweet.
I've never seen so much corn in my life.
Me neither. So I came down here to check the pool out, and there's someone peeing in it. I mean, I know no one else is in here, but I didn't expect to see that. People max in the elevator. People have to break that all the time. Hand we are 5-handed. There are a couple limps pre-flop. We made it 10 from the small blind with the king-8 of diamonds and a couple players call. So we'll go 3 ways to a 7-5-3 2-diamond flop. We lead for $16 and only one player decides to make the call. So heads up to a turn, which was the king of clubs. So we now turn top pair with our draw, and we decide to bet 35, and he doesn't think too long before he makes the fold, and we take that one down. Alright, so the next hand I unfortunately did not get footage of, but it was like the second or third hand of the session, so very early, and decided to limp pocket threes in the cutoff 4 ways. Flop was ace-10-3 rainbow, so great board. They all checked over to me. I threw in a $5 chip. Only got one caller, and older player decided to call. Turn was a jack, and he checked it to me again. I bet 10. He called again, and the river was an ace, so gave us a full house. And then he let into me for 45. So at this point, I know he's got some kind of an ace. He had like maybe 150 effective, so took my time and just decided to jam it all in there. He quickly called with the ace-8 offsuit for 3 of a kind, and we won that one to the full house. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes or so since the last hand, and we've just had nothing to play. Just kept looking down at hands that were pretty unplayable, so we did quite a bit of folding for the next half hour to 45 minutes. And yeah, not much you can do there. Just a lot of unplayable hands. After folding for about 30 to 45 minutes, we look down at 6-3 of clubs, and it looks like aces. So we're in the big blind here, I believe. There was an open to 7, and we decided to call and go 3 ways, getting a decent price. The flop was jack-6 deuce. We check, and the player decides to lead for 10. he's been pretty active, even though we've only been playing a couple hours with him. So we decided to call with the pair of sixes and backdoor club draws. Turn was another six of diamonds, and we decided to lead for 20 now. I believe it put a flush draw on the board, so decided to go for 20. If he has a jack, he's going to continue anyway, but he does not and decides to fold, and we take that one down. So in this hand, we look down at two kings, and there's a limp. We decided to make it 12. We get two callers. Flop is king 7-3 rainbow. We flop top set into two aggressive players, and we go for a small bet of 10. And player to our left, who is the most aggressive, decides to fold, unfortunately, and the player behind folds as well. So we take it down, but not the result we wanted. So very next hand, we open pocket sevens on the button to 12 over a limp, and we only get one caller, so we go heads up to a flop, which is a terrible flop. It's queen 10-8, two spades, and he checks over to us though, so we do continue for 12, I believe, and he folds. So pretty much going to be one and done there. He folds, so we get that one through. Alright, so the next hand is a pretty interesting one. We look down at king queen offsuit, and we decide to make it 11 from the cutoff, and we get two callers. Flop is pretty decent, jack 10-6 with two clubs though, so don't really mind the clubs, but we do flop an open ender with two overcards to the board, and both players decide to check it over to us, so we go for a continuation bet of 20, and a player to our left decides to raise, and he raises the minimum to 40. So the same aggressive player from before, who's been tangling with us quite a bit. I don't think he's necessarily bluffing here though, so we're just gonna call, getting a good price. So we throw in another 20, and we go heads up to a turn, which is the 8 of clubs. So pretty bad turn. Puts the flush out there. We check it over to him, and he bets pretty large on the side of $75. So unfortunately, with no club in our hand and being out of position, I don't see much we can do here besides fold, so we just go ahead and let that one go. Alright, so very next hand, we look down at king 8 of clubs. We made it 8 pre-flop from the cutoff. We got a couple callers. The flop was jack 5-3 2 diamonds, and I noticed they're both just tuned in to the football game, so pretty much just c-bet no matter what, and they both fold. Alright, so in this next hand, we pick up two aces, and we decide to open to 7. Player to our left, who just sat down, who's been really crazy, like literally been opening every hand to like 10 and straddling, makes the call. Flop is king jack 3 rainbow. We decide to bet 10, and he quickly raises us to 25. Here's where I made a mistake. I should have just flat called, but I was hoping he had a king and would go with it if we re-raised him, which we did right on the flop, and he insta-folded. Alright, so the next hand we pick up ace 7 of hearts on the button. There's a limp. We decide to make it 10, and we only get one caller. The flop is king 7-4 2 diamonds, so decent flop for us. We got middle pair, top kicker, and he checks it over to us, so we go ahead and bet 15, and he does call. Turn is a queen of clubs, so I mean a much better card for our range instead of his, so we continue for 30 more, and he quickly folds. Alright, so in this hand there's one limp. We look down at pocket queens on the button, and we decide to make it $10. And all three players decide to make the call, so we go 4 ways to a flop of ace 5-3 with 2 spades, so not the greatest board, with the ace out there at multi-way. But they check it over to us, and we decided to go for a C bet just to kind of see where we're at. And we bet $15. And we only get one caller, so that's good. But with the ace out there, we're still not loving it. Turn card is a 5, so it pairs the board. And we go check, planning on shutting down. And the river is a queen. He leads into us for 20. So it's a miracle card for us. We decide to raise to 65. Thinks about it for a little bit and then decides to fold. So maybe we could have sized a little smaller, but we take down the pot nonetheless. Alright, so in this next hand, we look down at ace 10 offsuit and the big blind. There's 2 limps in front of us, and then the player to our right, senior citizen, 80 to 85, makes it $11. So we call. He's been on the tighter side, but we do have position on him, and we're playing 4-handed, so it is ace 10. The other players decide to call as well. We go to a flop of king jack 9, 2 hearts. So we flop a gut shot, and the player decides to bet 11 again. We go ahead and make the call. The other 2 players decide to fold, so we go heads up to a turn card, which pairs the board. It's another 9. At this point, we're not really loving our hand, and when he leads into us again for 25, we just let it go. Alright, so this hand, closer to the end of the session, we look down at pocket aces and the small blind. The under the gun opens to 7, and there's 1 call in front of us. So when we look down at the aces here, we're going to size up, and we 3-bet to $21. Probably could have went a little higher, like 25 to 30, maybe 32. Player to our left under the gun decides to make the call, and the other player who called the 7 decides to fold. So we go heads up to a flop, and the flop is a pretty good one. It is 9-8 deuce with 2 hearts, or 9-8 3. We decide to lead for $25, and he quickly calls. Turn is a 7 of hearts, so not the greatest, but he's only got about 100 or so left. So we go ahead and put them all in, and he quickly calls. And we show the aces, and he shows pocket jacks with a jack of hearts. Luckily, the jack 10 or heart did not come, so we hold there for a nice sized pot towards the end of the session. Alright, so end of the game for $300. Out of the game for $858, so plus $558. How do we do? Up or down?
In for 300, I was out for 146.
Not terrible.
Oh, not terrible, but could have been a lot better. One stupid hand.
Could have been. All right. Pretty successful trip, I'd say. Not so much for you. It happens. It's cold. It's like 30 degrees.
It's not that cold. I'm wearing a t-shirt.
All right, we're gonna head back to the
To the lab.
where?
To the lab.
Head back to the lab
Dissect this.
and try to get this vlog put together. Before I forget to say it, like and subscribe.